What's up, tennis fans? Sleepy Picks here. We had our quarterfinals of the Barcelona Open wrap up. We got some semifinals to preview. Let's take a look at the matchups. And both our semifinals are first time meetings, so these will be some exciting matches as these guys haven't played each other before. So we're going to have a little bit of a feel out period in the first few games of the first set for each of these semifinals. So definitely expect maybe a little bit of a slower, unsure start, and then these guys will pick their pace up as we close the first set. Let's take a look at the first semifinal. We got Rublev against Medjedovic. Rublev able to notch a nice win over Machac 6-4, 6-3. The first set was a little bit back and forth. Machac going up a break, and then Rublev able to reel off enough games to go up a break himself. Machac breaking back, and finally Rublev able to close out the 6-4 set. Machac throwing in just a really sloppy game for his I believe it was at 4-all to let Rublev go up a break again. And a little bit unfortunate because I thought the power of Machac looked pretty good at the beginning. When he was able to get a hold of the point, he really did control the court. He controlled the center. He was able to move Rublev. We could see a little bit of frustration from Rublev. Obviously, Machac going up 2-0 to start the match. I mean, it felt like it was going to be a Machac match, but again, just a few too many errors from him, a little bit sloppy, and Rublev, the steadier of the two and able to find some good offense when he needed it, especially on some of those challenging break points. So Rublev, great win for him, 6-4, 6-3. Medjedovic was able to beat Borges in straight sets, and this first set was anything but easy. Borges held, I believe, a couple of set points against Medjedovic, and it felt like it was only a matter of time before that Medjedovic power was going to be a little bit too overwhelming for Nuno Borges. But Borges looked very good. He was deflecting a lot of the shots. He was able to track a lot of shots down. The one thing that I love from Medjedovic is how he's able to follow up that huge forehand or huge backhand that he can rope. He can also follow them up with a drop shot. And that changes a lot because you have to be honest, trying to respect his touch and spin, but also his power. And when he's on, he's an extremely difficult player to beat. Guys, we talked about, this match we knew was going to be very close. I thought it was going to be a three-setter. And we talked about who are we going to trust more when you get into those tight situations. Nuno Borges, who only has a few wins on the clay, or Medjedovic, who has 10 wins and only one loss. I mean, you could tell the confidence that he had in his game in those moments. How many times do we see on some of these clutch, some of these big points, him hitting a drop shot? You're at like 5-all in the breaker, and he's able to just pull out a drop shot. I mean, incredible stuff from Medjedovic, just very clutch in some of those games. And I love watching. Medjedovic lets you know exactly how he feels. You will not. He's not stone faced or anything. You know every little emotion he's feeling. He lets you in, and I kind of like that. I think the crowd kind of likes it too, and I think this match here, the crowd is definitely going to be on Medjedovic's side because he's a little bit more emotive than Rublev is. Looking at this head-to-head here, these guys have not met, as we mentioned before. Medjedovic coming in, he is 10-1 on the clay this year, 6-5 on the clay last year, 15-8 on the clay the year before. Rublev, on the other hand, 4-1 on the clay this year, 8-6 on the clay last year, 11-6 on the clay the year before. On his way to the semifinal here, Rublev able to get straight sets over Norrie, over Sonego, and Machac. Now, for me, the best win there is over Norrie. I just didn't think Machac played that well for me to consider it a great win for Rublev. Yes, it's the name. Seeing Machac there, a guy that went 3 sets with Sinner last week. Yes, that's a nice win for him, especially to win it in straight sets. But Norrie having won Bucharest. I feel like that was a very solid win for Rublev to get, especially in straight sets. And it was starting to get a little bit messy towards the end of that second set, but Rublev was able to be the steadier of the two and hang on and get a couple of misses from Novoni to convert and get that done in straights. Medjedovic, on the other hand, had to come through qualifying, beating Galbus in straight sets, Halys in 3 sets. Then he came out and played Trungeliti in the first round, beat him in straights. We remember Trungeliti making it out to the finals of Marrakesh. He plays a nice clay court style. Medjedovic able to handle him in straights. Medjedovic then able to beat Demonar in straights and Borges in straights. So among both of these guys, only 1 set has been dropped. So impressive stuff for these guys getting all the way out to the semifinals without dropping a set. Being pushed, for sure, we have 1, 2, 3 breakers from Medjedovic, and that Novoni match was probably the closest one for Rublev. Let me take a look at the hours here that we have on court. Rublev going on 5 hours. He's at 4 hours and 59 minutes, so he's basically at 5 hours on the court. Medjedovic, on the other hand, is at 8 hours and 56 minutes, almost 9 hours on court. Will that catch up to him? It might. This is definitely he's definitely going to have to grind this match out. He's going to have to play some very solid clay court tennis. He's lucky that a lot of these points that he plays, he does shorten the point with the serve plus 1 and having that aggressive forehand and backhand and the drop shot. So he can play a little bit more offense. He's not out there grinding out like 30-shot rallies. Let me take one look at how these guys did in Barcelona. Wow. Medjedovic's record in Barcelona is 6-1. His only loss was to Casper Ruud last year in the second round. Was able to beat Delian, Diallo, Pericard. Those are all hard court guys. And then lost 7-5, 7-5 to Casper Ruud. Now he's been able to get out here to play Rublev. Let's see how Rublev has done here in Barcelona. He has a 6-7 record, but he's played a lot more. Second round loss last year to Fokina. Second round loss a year before to Nakashima. Quarterfinal loss to Sinner. Qualifiers. So Rublev has played many more times in Barcelona than Medjedovic, but he hasn't really gotten the results. This is his best result so far. Looking at this matchup here, guys, I mean, it's really hard for me to pick against Medjedovic. He just has that power, and he has the ability to kind of take the racket out of your hands. He can hit the drop shot. I feel like his clay court, like this is going to take a very strong performance from Rublev to win this match. And is he going to be able to do it? It's really tough for me. You know, we have a guy that, yes, he's 4-1 on the clay, but he just lost to Zizou Bergs. 6-4, 6-1 in Monte Carlo. And honestly, guys, you look at the way Zizou Bergs plays, aggressive on the court, similar to what we're going to see from Medjedovic. Maybe not as many drop shots from Zizou Bergs, but Medjedovic also has those big ground strokes. He's going to bully Rublev around. And we kind of saw a little bit of that from Machac today. Machac just a little bit too inconsistent to really make a dent on Rublev. I mean, if Machac was able to hold serve a few times, I feel like that's at least a 3-setter, if not a Machac win. This is really hard just because for Medjedovic to make a final of a 500, I think that's an extremely huge accomplishment for him. And I think we're going to see some nerves. And if we do, you know, we have Rublev who's been in these situations before. He knows what he can get out of his strokes. He knows what shots he needs to hit. Medjedovic, on the other hand, this is kind of new territory for him. I think it's going to be a 3-setter no matter what. And I'm going to say Rublev wins this in 3 sets. I think it's going to be a very tough 3-set win for Rublev. I mean, he's going to have to bring some really strong tennis. I think he's going to be able to do it. I think Medjedovic is going to have a chance whether it's like 4-all in the third or he's up a set and has a chance in the second maybe, and then it just kind of slips away with the nerves and the inexperience. So I'm going to go Rublev here. He's going to advance to the final in 3 sets. Our next matchup will be another good one. We have Rafael Jodar against Arthur Fils. No head-to-head either for these guys. I mean, just unreal that we're getting 2 semifinals where the guys have not met. I mean, this is going to be some fun stuff. Not to mention, both these guys are undefeated on the clay. Jodar at 8-0, Fils at 3-0. Let's talk about that Jodar and Norrie match. We talked about this match, how it was a rematch of the Acapulco drubbing, where Jodar was able to beat Norrie 6-3, 6-2 by, I think this is by the same score here, 6-3, 6-2 in Barcelona. So not much has changed. The Jodar forehand was certainly more aggressive for me in Acapulco, but today I thought he did just as good to find offense and produce with that forehand. Norrie got the best start that he could have possibly wanted. He went up a break early, first game he broke Jodar, got up 1-0. I believe he held for 2-0. He might have gotten broken back. Hang on, let me just double check that so I get he got broken back immediately, but able to break Jodar, and it looked like his game plan was to kind of get in some of these longer rallies, moving Jodar around, not letting him get set too much on the ground strokes. And then he also threw in a few drop shots in that first game. So we kind of got a sense that he was going to try to keep Jodar very uncomfortable, moving up and back and side to side on the baseline. Because we know if Jodar gets set up on that forehand, it is so lethal. It is so hard to get those shots back in. Norrie didn't want a repeat of what happened in Acapulco. And honestly, guys, I know it was the same scoreline, but I felt like the Acapulco one was just such a blowout by different standards. This match I felt was a lot closer, a little bit of a back and forth in that first set, but Jodar able to get his footing. I felt like there might have been a little bit of nerves here, so we got to look out for that against Fils. The last person you want to have nerves against is Arthur Fils, because that ball is going to be coming at Mach 50 past you if you leave it short. So I felt like there was a little bit of nerves to start here, and obviously, Jodar definitely sensing the opportunity here in this draw. Like we talked about in our last video, this is a very, very big chance for him to get through and win this tournament, win a 500. I mean, this would be tremendous for his career and a great start for him on the clay. More that I want to say about that Norrie match. I was just very impressed with how Jodar was able to kind of wrestle what Norrie's strategy was, kind of trying to extend the points, and Jodar really didn't let him towards the end, and he was able to get up a double break on Norrie, and that was basically curtains for Cam. And again, impressive showing by Jodar to just these pummeling, suffocating ground strokes, where if you get behind in the point, it's so hard to get back in front because he's hitting the ball just so big. So Jodar is able to advance to the semifinals 6-3, 6-2. He takes on Arthur Fils. Fils able to have a really solid win against Musetti 6-3, 6-4. He moves to 2-1 now against Musetti. We talked about how Musetti was able to win that one match on the clay, and then they played a tough 3-setter where Musetti had a match point in the second set of that Indian Wells match to win it in straights. Fils turned that around, and he has not lost a set since. So is this the same Musetti? Guys, I will say that this is probably the best match I've seen from Musetti since his comeback. And obviously, that's not really saying much, but I thought he looked good. He's getting a little bit better. He's starting to find his strokes. He's starting to take the ball a little bit earlier, aggressive on that backhand side. I thought he was doing that really well again in Australia. So we gotta look out and see kind of, can he build off of this? Yes, I know a quarterfinal appearance is not what he wanted. I'm sure he wanted to get out to the semis and maybe beat Jodar and get to the finals, but it's not to be. A guy like Musetti, I think, is going to need a little bit more time to kind of develop. But lucky for him, he's got a couple more Masters Series to deal with here that hopefully he'll be able to make a run in this next one. I mean, very tough draw for Musetti and Monte Carlo, drawing Vachero first round, and that was a tough competitive match. But I will say I was impressed with what I saw here from Musetti. It just wasn't consistent enough. There were too many misses. He let too many balls drop short. The Feast forehand was just booming today. The one play that I loved from Musetti that he kind of brought in a couple of times was that drop shot on the backhand side. I mean, he's able to step in on the backhand really aggressive and then put a drop down the line on Feast and force him to move a little bit. And similar to Jodar, guys, I mean, when Feast is moving, it's a little bit harder for him to kind of line that big forehand up. But when the ball is in front of him and sitting, he can rope that thing just as good as any other player on tour. So good win for Arthur Feast. He's able to get through 6-3, 6-4. Now he plays Rafa Jodar. I mean, this is going to be such a good match. We got Arthur Feast, who was able to beat Atman in 3 sets, Nakashima in straights, and Musetti in straights. Jodar coming in, beating Munar in straights, Carabelli in straights, and Norrie in straights. Let me look at this Jodar. So he's only dropped 1 set on the clay, and that was to Machac in Marrakesh. Everything else has been straight sets. And I kind of feel like, guys, you look at the guys that he's beaten. Lajovic, okay, Mueller, Carabelli, Trungelliti, Claire, Carabelli again, and Norrie. What type of game style has he not seen that he kind of saw a little bit with Machac? That aggressive forehand game style. We talked about this before. If you're able to get Rafa Jodar on his back foot, not with the ball in front of him, not able to play the shots aggressively, then I think he's gonna have some trouble here. We saw that in the Machac match. Just a little bit of misses. Machac able to take that second set. Jodar able to level it out and win in 3. But that was his trickiest match, and now he's going against one of the best offensive players on tour. This is going to be a very tricky match for him, guys. I loved what I saw from Arthur Feast. I thought the forehand looks unreal. He's stepping around it so fast. We talk about how the clay is able to giving him time now to step around even more and rope the ball. I mean, his shots are just booming. And yes, Jodar is going to be able to do that. Obviously, Jodar's game plan is probably going to be to keep the ball away from that Feast forehand. I don't think he's going to want to engage with a lot of rallies to that side. But I just have a weird feeling here, guys, that Feast is going to be able to take Jodar out. I think this is going to be 3 sets. Let's look at the records here before we go into anything more. We got Feast coming in at 3-0. He was 10-4 last year on the clay, 14-10 on the clay the year before. Jodar 8-0 this year with that Marrakesh win, 3-1 last year, 6-4 the year before. He's sitting at 18-8 overall in his career on the clay. Let's see. I don't think Jodar has not played in Barcelona before. And let's see how Feast did last year here. He lost to Carlos, I believe. 5-2 here in Barcelona. In 2024, he lost to Lajovic in 3 sets, but was able to beat Demonar and Altmaier. And then in 2025, he beat Carreño Busta, Martinez, Tsitsipas, and lost to Alcaraz in straights. Remember, this was the rematch. I believe they played in Monte Carlo, and it was much closer And obviously, Carlos Alcaraz, with his tennis knowledge and his coaching staff as well, they were able to break that Fils game down. And I think Alcaraz came out with a much better strategy against Arthur Fils. I think this is going to be Arthur Fils here, guys. We do have Fils has got about 5 hours on the court, and Jodar's got 3 hours and 48 minutes. Don't forget, guys, the in that Miami tournament, Fils admitted that against Lehechka he felt like he didn't have anything left, like the tank was basically on empty. And obviously, yes, he played that crazy Tommy Paul match the night or 2 nights before, and that drained a lot of emotional energy and physical energy that he had. But it was interesting for him to kind of just admit, like his body just he didn't feel 100% in that Lehechka match. It also is red flag that one, guys, because I think he's going to be looking for that rematch as well. Remember that he was able to beat Lehechka in Doha, I believe, earlier that year. So they're definitely going to meet again on the hard courts, I would assume. So look out for that one. But looking at this one here, I think it's going to be Fils. I think it's going to be Fils in 3 sets. I think it's going to take a very strong effort from Fils to hand Rafa Jodar his first clay court loss, but I think he has it in him, and I think this is the type of style. Jodar has played all counter punchers and guys that like to stand deep, 10 feet behind the baseline. Guys that are going to let him kind of rope shots, like Munar, like Carabelli, like Trungelliti. Trungelliti a little bit more aggressive style. But I think he's going to come up, he's going to hit, he's going to play a much more offensive player here. And this is going to be a lot trickier for him. So I got to go with Fils. I'm going to go with the guy with the experience, the guy that made the semis last year and ran into Carlos Alcaraz, a tough matchup for him. But I'm going to pick Fils here to advance in 3 sets. Here's a look at our quarterfinal records. 3-1 for me, missing the Rublev match. And 4-0 for the Pamplemousse. Guys, make sure you give the Pamplemousse a like on the picks that are given out there. I mean, this is just awesome stuff from the Pamplemousse. Really on a tear here in the clay season. 4-0 is really good. Let's see if we can do a little bit better for the semifinals. Thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share your picks in the comments. Share the video. We'll have another video out talking about the Munich semifinals. Looking forward to those 2 matches as well. And then once the finals are announced, we will have a video out for both of those tournaments. We will also have a draw reaction of the Madrid Open. I believe the draw is going to be released on Monday, so definitely look out for that. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.